welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we'll be focusing on workers in the oil and gas sector and the several challenges they are faced with. We also have interesting news stories for you. We will be right back. 20 years after their disengagement, pensioners of the defunct National Electric Power Authority (NEPA) and Power Holding Company of Nigeria (PHCN) stormed the streets of Lagos to protest non-payment of the gratuity and pension arrears, running to billions of naira. The pensioners carried placards with various inscriptions asking government agencies in charge, like the Pension Transitional Arrangements Directorate (PTAD), to pay their gratuity and pension arrears to enable them meet their challenges.
Pay us our money. Pay our money. Our money is...
They allege that PTAD failed to pay them all these years, despite verified evidence that the money was released to the agency by the central authority.
Health sectors and electricity sector, the arrears of 33%, ranging from 18 months to 36 months. And the 36 months she mentioned then is our own, because we have not received any. The other sectors have collected part of it. Not sooner than Mrs. Chioma Ejikeme took over, she just started a new game with Temple Chinyere Ubani. They started throwing us around as if we are ping pong balls. They are the ones that are not giving us our money. And the current executive of the NUPS are equally aligned with them.
Justifying the protest, the group's coordinator Oladotun Ayodeji alleged that PTAD failed to do the needful for more than 10,900 pensioners for the past 20 years.
Our president is a lover of pension. He's our father. Since in inception, since he came to power, we have been enjoying uninterrupted support for all the senior citizens in Nigeria. We want him to kindly intervene in this matter, to urge PTAD to urgently release our money in their care. They have all our money. One of their directors told us that the money is kept in the central bank, and when she called us for a meeting, we asked her. She said that they don't have commercial bank, that the money is in central bank. That is what she told us. What is now delaying our money?
They want relevant authorities to find lasting solution to the challenge. Workers in the maritime sector now have an electronic platform where they can register and be identified. The regulatory body also announced the commencement of issuance of biometric identity cards to dock workers. Stakeholders in the sector described the move as critical towards ensuring independent, integrated, informative verification and communication platform that will serve as database for maritime service in Nigeria.
To generate maritime labor data for the purpose of planning, research, assessment, and evaluation. It is on this note that I wish to plead with terminal operators, stevedores, dock workers, seafarers employers, manning agents, for maximum cooperation towards this exercise.
Having the workers go on biometric identification, it's a lofty idea which we shared with the industry, especially with NIMASA, and for our dear workers who have embraced it, kudos to them. It's going to go a long way to regulate the welfare and the workflow for the dock workers industry in Nigeria.
Reacting, President of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, Adewale Adeyonju, said the automation of maritime labor registration process is a welcomed development, urging stakeholders to also prioritize workers' welfare.
What has happened today, I think the NIMASA have come out greatly to tell the whole world that they can identify with the bill that they are regulating. So we want to congratulate the DG NIMASA and his team, and congratulate all the dock workers across the port that their flag of this biometric ID card is for the purpose of having them in their hearts.
Stakeholders in the maritime sector said the process will benefit the industry in terms of time saving, improved service delivery, and building capacity of the maritime labor workforce.
Organized labor in the power sector has resolved to address concerns in electricity distribution companies, DISCOs, and generation companies, GENCOs, over increasing cases of casualization of workers. The Lagos and Ogun Zone chairman of the National Union of Electricity Employees made the statement at a press briefing in Lagos.
The union is the only voice currently crying in the wilderness. We cannot be cowed. We are no longer at the era of master-servants relationship. Employment relationship has changed to employer-employee relationship. This struggle must continue. Any threat on the leadership of the union is a threat to workers in the sector and Nigerian workers in general. We are on standby. Solidarity forever.
After much consultation, the leadership of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASSAN, announced a nationwide protest over rising oil theft in the country.
The leadership of the association felt that we should organize this World Press Conference, and we should also follow it up by a rally.
The national president, Festus Osifo, during the briefing says, according to the latest report on oil and gas industry by the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NET, 272.2 million barrels of crude oil are lost to oil theft in the midstream sector. Hours after, members of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASSAN, staged rallies in some states and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, over rising cases of crude oil theft and vandalization of oil facilities.
That the oil and gas revenues that are accrued to this company account for over 90% of foreign exchange that the country gets.
Those in authority, the stakeholders will heed this call and begin to take actions that, one, would prevent vandalism. Two, where people still go ahead to perpetrate the acts, they will be held accountable.
The leadership of PENGASSAN submitted a letter to the Inspector General of Police.
Send your grievances to him instead of taking laws into your hands. It is a great thing, and I want to tell you that this letter will reach to Inspector General of Police.
Then later, the Federal Ministry of Petroleum at the NNPC Towers, Abuja.
Managing Director, who is the GCEO, with his able leadership, have been doing their almost impossible best to make sure that these things is nipped in the bud.
It was emphasized that there is a need for enlightenment campaign to educate citizens on the dangers associated with crude oil theft and pipeline vandalism, in collaboration with relevant agencies such as the National Orientation Agency.
The impact of oil theft in the Niger Delta has a direct consequence to a Nigerian that lives in Borno State, to a Nigerian that lives in Enugu State, to a Nigerian that lives in Osun State. We must rise as a united, progressive Nigeria to say no more oil theft.
To call on well-meaning security agencies to do the needful. I want to beg the community, the host community where they do all these evils, to speak out.
On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the national president of PENGASSAN, Comrade Festus Osifo. It brings us up to speed on the several challenges workers in the oil and gas sector is faced with vis-a-vis the issue of oil theft and also pipeline vandalism. He insists that the federal government and relevant stakeholders have to put an end to this ugly trend as it might affect workers in the sector. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's been a while after our last conversation, and a lot of things have happened in the oil and gas sector.
Yeah, true.
Yes, I must commend you on the rally that took place within the week as regards the need for an end to oil theft and vandalism in the sector. Can you bring us up to speed why the union decided to take this action at this point in time?
We in PENGASSAN, we are senior staff association. So for us, our first preference is consultation and dialogue. So in the last months, we have been engaged in closed-door consultations, and we have been engaging all stakeholders from the regulatory agencies to the operators to government to security chiefs on how we could find a lasting solution to this menace in the Niger Delta. But having done all these, the situation has not yet improved. So we felt that we should no longer fold our arms and allow the situation to keep degenerating. So we need to add our voice to the clarion call that the president of the country should stand up and should act. Because for us, crude oil has been the mainstay of our Nigerian economy. For us, today, a lot of our members are losing jobs. Most of the management, most of the companies, they are saying that they can no longer pay our members because they are not generating the needed revenue. So that is actually why we felt that no, let us go out there. Beyond our members, it's also in a national call to action. Because Nigeria is our country. We cannot fold our arm and allow some miscreants in the Niger Delta, and across Nigeria to be pilfering our commonwealth. Today, the oil price since February has been above $100 per barrel of crude oil. This is the first time that as a country we have not benefited from it because substantial volume of our production is either stolen or the companies at best will shut in their production because they know that when they pump into the pipeline, the oil disappears.
Okay, now if every year we lose thousands of barrels of oil to oil thieves, at this point in time, what action do you think the federal government and relevant stakeholders need to actually put in place to stop this menace in the sector?
Yeah. First, the will must be there to fight this. The president and commander-in-chief must have the political will to confront this monster. Then after then, the security chiefs, they have to act. We have been hearing lots of sound bites, but without any commensurate action. So the security chiefs, they must all come out to demonstrate the fact that they are ready to fight this. What should they do differently? Today, they post soldiers. They post naval ratings to the creeks of Niger Delta to protect the installations. But there are a lot of collusion and connivance that are going on. And at best, what these people do at the end of the day is to withdraw those that they sent there. After numerous allegations against them, they withdraw them and they send new officers there. These ones that you have withdrawn, have you sent them to court-martial? So government must learn how to apply consequence and deterrence. So there must be total consequence management, number one. Then, number two, we have also advocated in the past that government should bring in the host communities, which they have assured us that they will do. And thank God that now they are trying to bring in some local companies to protect the pipeline, like the new contract that was just awarded. We welcome it, but they should do more of that. Then beyond that as well, we have to apply technology. We are in the world of artificial intelligence. We are in the world of fourth industrial revolution, where you have nanotechnology. You have varying technology today that you could apply in order for you to get real-time data and real-time information. We don't need to reinvent the wheel because a lot of countries are already doing this. The researches are abound. So all we need to do is to approach the people that have the right technology. If you have concise information or precise information on the exact spot that is about to be compromised, you can quickly deploy the security officers there to nip it immediately. So in general, we must apply technology, we must bring in the host communities, and there must also be consequence management.
Okay, talking about pipeline infrastructure, with what we have on ground right now, would you say that it's up to standard? Also, if we want to look at the conversation we're having, we're talking about oil theft. Are there talents that we need to tap at this point in time with the challenge that we have right now, since there is no immediate solution on ground?
Okay, thank you so much. Even today, if we are refining our products, if you have a refinery that is, okay, let's take practical examples. We have a refinery today in Kaduna, and the oil is being produced in the Niger Delta. So how do you ferry the oil from the Niger Delta to Kaduna? You don't have waterways that you could use in doing that. The best way that you do that today is through pipeline. So even if Kaduna refinery was functioning, you have to transport this oil from the creeks in Niger Delta to Kaduna refinery. So that means there could still be compromise. Except you will now have to situate refineries, close to every oil installation, which is practically not possible. So even if we refine, we will still have that problem. Where we could not have that problem is if most of our oil installations are very close to the waterways, and those waterways are dredged, and you have to now bring tankers close to that waterways, and you pump the oil into it, and the refineries too must also be close to a jetty. Then you cannot transfer via the tankers to the... But practically, pipeline is naturally the safest, the most convenient, and the easiest way of transporting petroleum products. You could recall that even in Europe, today, in Germany, they are crying because the pipeline that links Russia to Germany has been closed down. So you can imagine the length of pipe that will move between Russia to Germany. So today we are building West African pipelines to transport gas and to transport crude oil. We're also thinking, I think a contract was signed recently where we want to transport gas from here to Morocco via Europe, to Europe. So that shows that you cannot really dispense with pipeline. It is key, and it is very necessary for us to pass this crude oil through the pipeline rather than putting in the tanks. But where tankers are used majorly are the offshore locations, shallow waters and deep water locations. Because there, in most of those locations, you don't have pipelines that could send to terminal. So what you do is that you have a storage unit like FSO or FPSO, where you have to store the crude, then you bring in tankers periodically to bunker the crude into the tanker. Then that could be exported abroad. So the reason we are still producing about 70%, or rather exporting 70% of what we produce, is actually because most of the major production today is gotten from offshores and deep water.
It's been up and down. It's been fluctuating in terms of what Nigerians have been experiencing as citizens in terms of fuel scarcity and the likes. There's this, or experts, from what I've read, have alleged that if we do not get fuel pricing right, there's every possibility that there will be not much improvement that can be made in the oil and gas sector. How would you respond to this?
Yes. For us in the labor movement, we have been advocating for several years that we are not against the deregulation, the full deregulation of the downstream sector of the petroleum and gas industry. But the challenge that we have had over the years is that we import these products. So when you import products, what you are doing is you are exporting jobs. So today, We do, as in, if you take 200,000 barrels of crude to Oxtra to refine, you are killing jobs in Nigeria, and you are creating jobs over there. So that is the fundamental problem. Now, if you refine the product there, you are going to bring in the product to the country. And in doing that, you are going to bring in the product via tankers. That tankers needs to be paid for. So when the mother vessels come to the water, to the ocean, you will not need to use the smaller vessels, which are referred to as the daughter vessels, to go and bunker from it. At the end, you will still pay for it. So that inefficiency and that cost will not be transferred to the Nigerian populace. So that is why Labour had advocated over the years that we are not against subsidy removal, but you should remove subsidy when you are now self-sufficient locally. Why our refinery is not working? Thank God today, the Port Harcourt refinery is being revamped, and we can confirm that a lot of work, are going on today in the Port Harcourt refinery. But same should be done for Warri and for Kaduna, so that let us produce the 18 million liters of PMS that these combined refineries could produce. Then Dangote refinery is coming on stream. Let Dangote refinery also come, because government also have 20% stake in the refinery. So when we now do this, we are not self-sufficient. There is now jobs created in Nigeria, and that extra cost that will be passed on to Nigerians will be eliminated. But there is still a problem. And what is that problem? The problem today is that, look at diesel. Diesel today is selling for over 800 naira. In fact, I think that Nigerians should give Labour kudos. If not because of Labour, because there's a relationship between the price of diesel and the price of PMS. AGO and PMS, they are same as twins. So with AGO selling over 800 naira, PMS could be selling for nothing less than 700 naira to 750 naira today. But today we are still buying less than 200. So it is because of the consistent push and fight that we have been fighting. Why is AGO selling for over 800 naira? It is because we don't produce locally. It is because the quantity is not guaranteed. Simple economics, demand and supply. When you have reduced supply and the demand remains constant, what will happen to price? Price will shoot up. So the price of diesel today is above the market price internationally. That's one. Then secondly, diesel is priced in the parallel market rate. Parallel market today, you see that dollar is about 700 naira in the parallel market. Those that are importing AGO, they don't have access to CBN rate of about 400, 450. They don't have access. So we are running our economy based on the dictate of parallel market.
So it means that the respective stakeholders are supposed to look into the possibility of this set of people having access to Forex. Absolutely. Perhaps it will make lives better for the ordinary Nigerian. Absolutely. Very quickly, I don't know what would be your opinion as regards legislative process in this regard. What legislative law do you think needs to be put in place to address all of these matters?
Yeah. In Nigeria, we have avalanche of laws. We have potpourris of rules, regulations, and laws. But laws cannot implement itself. You've said it, the political will. Today, we have the PIA. PIB is now an act. We have a lot of provisions in that particular act that are not being implemented. So, the law will not implement itself. It needs people to implement. So the fundamental problem that we have had is not because we don't have laws, but it's actually because those laws are not being implemented. Today, even the old laws, the archaic laws we've had in the petroleum sector, if we had implemented them to the latter, we would have grown much more. Today as well, as a country, we cannot tell you the quantity of PMS that we consume. We can't tell you. We cannot. The GMD has said this over and over and over again, that he cannot tell you the quantity that we consume.
The concern now is, in all of these challenges that has been highlighted here today, Nigerians seems to be the one that is most affected, and so also the working populace, and also your workers. You've spoken before now about their safety, you've spoken about their welfare. If employers are complaining about not meeting up in terms of profits, what now is the hope of an average oil and gas worker?
Thank you so much, Sharon. It's been a bit difficult. Yeah, just as I said earlier, and you've also reiterated that beyond, the oil and gas worker is facing a very difficult period today. Some of them are even threatened. At times when you discover that there is a huge pressure drop in the pipeline, you shut down production. Some of these miscreants, they will place a phone call to the terminal operators and they will start threatening them, telling them to resume production because they are tapping oil somewhere. It has gotten to that. So the lives of an average oil and gas worker is no longer safe. An oil and gas worker today, some of the companies are owing them salaries because they are no longer in business. Then more so, the larger Nigerians are facing existential threats because our mainstay is going down. Today, NNPC has not been able to make remittance to FAC. Yes, most of the bulk of the money that comes in are being used in subsidizing PMS. That's a fact. But if we were producing optimally, we could have had, some other revenue that would have come into the FAC account. So the problem is multifaceted. Average Nigerian worker in the oil and gas industry is faced with a huge challenge. Our jobs are threatened. Our lives are threatened. The environment with which we work are also bastardized. So the problem is real. Beyond that as well, we are also crying for our country called Nigeria. We cannot be selling crude oil at a rate that is over $100 per barrel, and we are still running budget deficit. We run out every day to keep borrowing money in such a way that the money we use in servicing debt, not the principal. The money we use in servicing debt is not much more than the revenue we generate.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sharon.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.